Welcome to Happily Ever Answer, an unofficial and unaffiliated Disney trivia show where magic meets knowledge. Join us as we dive deep into the enchanting worlds of Disney, testing your wits with fun and challenging questions, and sparking delightful conversations about your favorite characters, movies, and park experiences. Whether you're a casual fan or a true Disney aficionado, there's something here for everyone. So grab your Mickey ears, get comfortable, and let the adventure begin. So, hey everybody, in this episode, I'm joined by Mark from the animation Commendation, and he also does something called My Live Action Disney Project, as well as Brian, who cultivates this really absolutely wonderful Keeping Walt in Disney YouTube channel that I totally dig. So if you guys are interested in checking those out, there will be links to all that stuff wherever this gets distributed. And just to kind of go over what we're going to do today, it's going to be Beauty and the Beast. It's the four, primary media properties from Beauty and the Beast. It's the original cartoon, the two in-between cartoons, and the live action,
Great.
the Christmas and the Enchanted Tale. There's going to be, I think, 22, 23 questions. So this is a little more than typical. And then we're going to go through the quiz real quick because I don't want these guys to lose their connection to the hosting service. And then we're going to dive a little deeper into the things that they do. But before we get into all that, Brian, would you like to introduce yourself and tell everybody what you do?
Oh, Carl, thanks for having me on your show. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I really got involved with the Disney fan community back in 2015, kind of when Instagram kind of got started. I just wanted to get on there and share my love for Walt Disney and his movies, and I've been doing that for almost 10 years now. And slow start, but I've kind of picked up as as you mentioned, my YouTube channel, Keeping Walt in
Yeah.
Disney. So I like to post. But what I'm really doing there is archiving as many episodes as I can of the original Disneyland television show,
Wow.
which morphed into had several different names over the years. So just under the banner, the Disneyland Anthology television series, you get all the names like The Wonderful World of Color, Walt Disney Presents, The Wonderful World of Disney, all those different names of what the show was called. So I've archived pretty much every episode all the way up to season 32.
That's like Saints work as far as I'm concerned. That's pretty great. Yeah, that's
People
really
say I'm on God's errand or something.
yeah, that's great. I love hearing that kind of, and that's what it takes. And I feel
Yeah,
like stuff like that too kind of helps push Disney to release more on Disney Plus. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe
right.
that'll happen. But yeah, I
Yeah,
think it's great that there's such a strong fan community out there doing stuff like
yeah.
that.
I
So
like to think of it as a supplement to Disney
yes,
Plus. But my
absolutely.
real love for in the Disney world is the live action films from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. That's what I eat up. I've seen every single movie in that time frame multiple times. I love to
Wow,
post about them, and
wow, that's
that's
great.
really my favorite thing about
And
Disney. So
cool. So yeah,
yeah.
that's where some overlap with you and Mark come in because he does the live
Mhm.
action Disney project as well as touches on some other stuff too. Do you would you like to speak to that, Mr. Mark?
Yeah, sure. Again, Carl, thanks for having
Awesome.
me
Yeah,
on
sure
this
thing.
game show as well. I'm always excited to be on a Disney themed game
Absolutely.
show, so this is always fun. Yeah, I run two blogs, like you said. The first one's called Animation Commendation. I've always been a fan of animation, film animation, and especially Disney animation. So my point of my blog was to like share that with people over the internet, and I post like movie reviews sometimes. I do a lot of top 13 lists, and the main thing on that blog is I actually have my own game show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire
Yeah.
Animation Edition, where actually Brian has been on multiple times in the past as a contestant, but basically it's animation
Fail.
themed. Nah, you know, you were great. It was animation themed Who Wants to Be a Millionaire uh tournament. I've done 10 seasons now of that, which I really, really,
Oh,
really enjoy. So it's nice for me to be at the other end instead of hosting the game show. I'm at the contestant, so this is fun.
you get to
And then my
play,
second
yeah.
blog, yeah, I get to play. It's always fun that way. And my second blog is my live action Disney project, where my goal is I want to watch and review every single theatrically released live action Disney film ever made. So this is just to clarify, this is not count. I'm not doing like the documentaries, like the Disney nature stuff or the true life adventures or anything that was from Touchstone Pictures or Hollywood Pictures or Miramax or anything that was a property that Disney bought afterwards, like Star Wars or Marvel. This is just the Walt Disney Pictures films. So yeah, and this is where Brian and I overlap a lot because we do share a lot of love for a lot of the Walt era films, the 50s,
Sure.
60s, and 70s. And I go further than him. I go into the 80s, 90s, up into the present as well. But yeah, so that's those are the
Yeah,
two
my
things I have
cutoff's
working.
86.
Well, and on
I
your
love Mark's blog. It's great.
yeah, he
I don't get why he doesn't like some of the animal films, but that's cool. At least he watches all of them.
um
Yeah, and the only reason I watched it was because of the blog. Otherwise, I would not have watched those.
yeah. Well, and Mark, you talk about on your blog a little bit that you say that your rating system is not very scientific, but you break it down really well. Like I feel like that's because so many like podcasters and
Yeah,
people that produce media that here's a review of a thing and they're like, yeah, I liked it, and that's about as far as it goes, right? It was
exactly. Yeah,
good, but like you really get into like how many actors and this and that, and it's like really I mean, there's like a matrix of criteria that you use, and whatever you're doing, it must be working because the only perfect score is Mary Poppins. So,
Mary
so
Poppins
it's
perfectly perfect in every way.
yeah, it's like I was like, well,
Yeah.
he's got it figured out if that's number one because I can't really disagree with
Well, he
that.
needs to re-rate Pollyanna. That's my
Yeah,
favorite Disney
that's the
movie.
one I get the most flack on my Pollyanna rating.
Pollyanna,
I'm just
yeah,
giving you a
But
hard time, Mark.
in my defense, that was one of my earlier reviews, and I was still
It
getting used
was.
to the own rubric that I made. So
gotcha.
if I did rewatch Pollyanna, I think it would get a higher rating than I did, but that I gave it. But yeah, the rubric came about because I don't. Up to now, I still don't consider myself a film reviewer or film critic. I don't think I know enough about film or I'm knowledgeable
Uh-huh.
enough to explain why a film is quote unquote good or bad. So I had to figure out some way of measuring how I can give a film a rating that's based not just on whether I like it or not. And that was the best. And using those categories that's on my rubric was the best way, in my opinion, to come to that conclusion.
Well, yeah, you're definitely going a lot further in terms of being complete and having an in-depth perspective. I feel like then, like I said, so many people out there are just happy enough to uh, not give it much more than like a thumbs up or thumbs down. So it's pretty great, to like sit there and say, oh, just out of curiosity, how far along are you?
Oh gosh. Um, uh, I've done over 200 films.
Oh
I'm
my
not sure
God.
the latest count is it's more than 200 now, but yeah, I have to look back at it again. But yeah, I don't
Wow.
go in order, which is also another reason I go back and forth between what I call old and what I call new. Old I
Sure.
define as 80s and back, and new I define as in my lifetime 90s to present.
Okay.
So that also is another reason why I don't really know how much I've done because it's not like I'm following a list in order, so I can't see like where the end line is.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, are you guys
We're
ready
gonna keep
to?
making more
Okay.
movies, so
Okay. Yeah, that's
we'll never be
well, and
done.
that's the thing too. Like when every week
Yeah.
you pull up Disney Plus, and it's like that's why you have to limit it. You can't go into Nat Geo or everything that's
Exactly.
being
Yeah.
dropped on Hulu because
Hmm.
it's here's five more things every single week, and it's like, yeah, it's no human being has that much spare time to review that
Exactly.
much content. So yeah. All right, you guys ready to get into this trivia contest then?
Let's do it.
23
I'm ready.
on, I think there's five or six for the original animated, And then I think I have five each for those in between the Christmas special and the Magical Tales or whatever that other thing was. And then there's I think six or seven maybe for the movie, which really kind of surprised me. So let's see here. Let me get
Wow. Don't think I've seen the middle two. So
yeah, that's where I feel like I'm gonna get
Well,
you guys. So
well,
yeah.
I've seen the middle two, but it's been years. So trust me, Brian, we're still going to be tight on
Yep.
that.
I may have
Yep.
seen the Christmas one
All
with my
right.
daughter.
All right. So the first question is for the 1991 animated Beauty and the Beast, who composed the music? It's kind of a gimme right off the bat there. Is it Paul Simon and Art Garfunkel, Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, Daryl Hall and John Oates, or John Lennon and Paul McCartney? And I hope both of you guys
Nice.
got this one. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see here. Did
I can
all
only
right.
imagine the Beatles themed
Yeah, a little.
composition.
All right, let's see here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys got this one both
Wow.
pretty quick here. That's not bad.
Nice.
I in any of the like the contest I did with my son and wife, and then the big one with my family. Nobody ever got like 100. I think 87 per question was the most that anybody's gotten. So that's as you guys answered that as fast as yeah. So
Probably some sort of a, like lag also when it comes on too.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And exactly, yeah. So I think a perfect score is kind of impossible. So all right. So the next question is for the 1991 animated Beauty and the Beast, what is the name of Maurice's horse? Is it Philippe, Jacques, Marceau, or Louis? I think you guys both probably got that one pretty quick. Yep, still tied 180 apiece.
Nice.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
For the 1991 animated Beauty and the Beast, who was the first animated object that we hear? Do you guys understand what I mean by the animated
Yes.
object? Okay, cool. Was it Mrs. Potts, Fifi, Lumiere, or Chip? Still tied?
I actually
Don't
wasn't
worry.
sure whether
Wait
it
till we
Right.
get to the Christmas one.
Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say the animated original one is where everybody I feel like is gonna be
I actually was trying to think if it was Cogsworth or not, so I'm glad that
I was
wasn't a
that's what I
choice.
thought it was, but that was not an option.
that's
So
exactly why I did that because they're in that same scene like together, but it is Lumiere is the first. I didn't want to be that much of a jerk to have both of those on there because it's
thanks.
yeah, exactly. That was very intentional on my part, absolutely. So
I do that on my game show.
for the 1991 animated Beauty and the Beast, what wing of the Beast's castle does he forbid Belle to enter? This should be another gimme. So was it the West Wing, the South Wing, the East Wing, or the North Wing? Yeah, you guys are still knotted at 360 apiece now.
Ryan, you're a
Yikes.
good um competitor.
Yeah. I figured for this first chunk, you guys would be neck and neck. For the 1991 animated Beauty and the Beast, what other animated object does Lumiere make romantic advances toward? This is another one that shouldn't be too difficult. Was it Cogsworth, Mrs. Potts, Madame Armoire, or Fifi? Yeah, you guys, I think are both. Oh, okay. So
I
Oh,
got it.
yeah. I got it
Yep.
quicker. That's all it was.
now
Uh,
I have a question, Brian. Was it like a misclicking or mistapping thing, or was
no,
it?
I just looked for the first French name and then I just realized, oh, that's the big thing. And
Oh
I
yeah,
was
the
I was looking
armoire
for
was the
the duster.
yeah, Fifi was the duster.
Fifi.
Yeah,
Fifi's,
Yeah. No, it
exactly.
wasn't a
Yeah.
misclick. So
Well, that happened allegedly to other people I've
yeah.
run this through, so it's hard to tell. But yeah, that I know that's going to happen at some point to somebody. So, all right, next question
I,
is for. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Okay, for the 1991 animated Beauty and the Beast, who convinces the townsfolk to raid Beast's castle? Was it Gaston, Maurice, LeFou, or Monsieur d'Arc? Yeah, you guys, I think both nailed this one. Yep.
I don't know who's Monsieur
Monsieur,
Diart. Who's
Monsieur,
that? Is that
yeah.
the
That was
He's
Undertaker?
the
the
judge.
asylum guy, yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
he's the
asylum.
asylum guy, and he's actually
I've
just
come
a
to collect your father.
yeah, the guy that voiced him, I think his name is Tony J. He's the same guy
Tony
that
J,
does
yeah.
yeah, Frollo from Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh,
So
really?
it's yeah,
Yeah.
Cool.
it's kind of I
He,
guess his audition for that. It's pretty great.
he also did Shere Khan in Jungle Book 2.
Oh, did he really? Okay, well
Yeah. As
that
well
makes
as the
sense.
Tailspin series.
Okay.
Thing.
All right, next question. This might be the last from the original. So, for the 1991 animated Beauty and the Beast, who sets Belle and Maurice free after Gaston imprisons them in their cellar? Was it Mrs. Potts, Chip, Lumiere, or Jacques? And I don't think there's a Jacques actually in the movie. But yeah, you guys both I think got that one too. So I think it's about to
You
start
guys
getting
have got to try this thing.
yeah, it's about to get
Let's see.
a little trickier here, I think. Yeah. All right. So in
Well,
Beauty and the
not for me.
Beast Enchanted
Not for
Christmas,
Mark.
It's been a while.
who argues about who saved Christmas? Was it the Axe and the Enchantress, Fifi and Forte, Lumiere and Cogsworth, or Mrs. Potts and Chip? I think you guys probably both nailed that one.
This was totally a guess, though. I don't remember, but it
Yeah,
just seemed
it
like
I
it
do
makes
was
remember that
sense.
Lumiere and
part.
Cogsworth.
Yeah, it
I
kind of
think that's
makes.
where I stopped watching it.
All right, next question here. In Beauty and the Beast Enchanted Christmas, what instrument is fife?
What instrument is who?
Fife? Is he an oboe, a piccolo, a timpani, or a flute? That's a little trickier.
Yeah, I got that one wrong.
I got that one wrong. Oh,
Okay, he was a piccolo.
I should have guessed piccolo. I could have
Yeah,
caught
yeah,
up.
that's why it's gonna get. I was like, all
I
right,
don't
why?
I don't
It's
even
gonna.
remember him. I just remember the piano.
Yeah, he was the little. I don't know. He was just a piccolo.
The
Yeah.
piccolo, yeah, I guess.
Yep.
That kind of makes sense. Fife piccolo. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. In Beauty and the Beast Enchanted Christmas, what does Chip suggest Belle give the Beast for Christmas?
A library. I don't know.
A story, a song, a mirror, or a quill pen?
This one was a guess also.
So yeah,
Oh,
Mark.
you got it. I didn't. I thought it was a mirror since he gave it away.
Right? Yeah. Some of these I get a little intentionally tricky with. So yeah.
Oh,
In Beauty and the Beast Enchanted Christmas, who is the castle decorator? So you really have to understand it to get this one, I think. Is it Fife, Fifi, Forte, or Angelique? And yep, Angelique is the one who is the castle decorator. I don't know if either one of you guys got that right, but
I was
I
thinking
know I
that one,
didn't.
but I was like, maybe Fifi.
Yeah, I
right.
did 50 again as well.
They
Uh,
used those in between animated specials as an excuse to kind of like expand their universe. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
so in Beauty and the Beast Enchanted Christmas, what does the Beast want to give Belle? Was it a diamond ring, a song, a mirror, or a quill pen? I think you guys both got this one. And yep, it was a song.
Come on, Mark. Give me a chance.
Another guess, sorry.
All right. And so in Belle's magical world, who is introduced as a rival to Lumiere? Is it Sultan, Crane, Chandeliera, or Webster? I think you guys probably both got this one.
Wow.
All right.
Again, another guess.
Yeah, a few more of these in the in magical world. So in Belle's magical world, what interrupts Belle when she is reading to the Beast? Is it the beast growling, a thunderstorm, the beast snoring, or the beast eating? So, yep, it was the beast eating.
Got that wrong.
So did I.
Yeah. In Belle's magical world, Lumiere is preparing for the 5th anniversary of a first date with who? Yep. Fifi, Belle, Mrs. Potts, or Angelique? I think both of you guys got that one right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one was I kind of somewhat guessed, but knew
Right.
it at the same time.
Well,
Yeah.
he was
I hope
making
so.
out with her in the first one.
Yeah, you want
Family
to hope
friendly.
he's loyal, right? In
I
Belle's
should have said Madame Armoire.
right. In Belle's magical world, what animal does Belle care for? Is it a squirrel, a fox, a badger, or a bird? I think you guys probably both got that one right.
No,
It is,
I
it is
missed it.
okay, it was a bird, yeah. All right. And all right, so we're into the live action ones. In the 2017 live action Beauty and the Beast, why was Maurice imprisoned by the Beast? Eating a meal, picking a rose, a failed invention, or just trespassing? Yeah, it was picking a rose. Yep.
Yeah, that's actually closer to the original story.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they kind of went a little back and forth. In the 2017 live action Beauty and the Beast, what reason is Belle given for staying out of The West Wing by Lumiere and Cogsworth?
Hmm.
This is a total trick question. Mold, it's forbidden, it's rat infested, it's storage space. Did either of you guys get that one right?
Oh, well.
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, because it's so
I
like
don't remember that at all.
I couldn't even believe they used that as the reason in the
The
movie. It was just like,
storage
it's
space.
storage
Wow.
space. It's like, oh, that's such an unromantic kind of, yeah. He's got his
I
old
like to forget this movie exists.
right. He's got his old National Geographic stuffed
Yeah.
away in there, and it just, yeah, that was like the most,
Encyclopedia Britannica
yeah,
from the 90s is there.
feeble reason. All right. So in the 2017 live action Beauty and the Beast, how does Gaston attempt to deal with Maurice?
It's not an attempt to deal with Maurice.
Was it flesh-eating bacteria? He ties him to rocks and drops him in a lake through articulate debate, or he ties him to a tree to be eaten by wolves. And yeah, it's the last one there. It's he's a little darker, I think, in that one.
I think Gaston could expectorate, but I can't see him do an articulate debate.
Right? Yeah. In the 2017 live action Beauty and the Beast, who rescues Maurice from being tied up? Was it
I
Belle,
remember this.
LeFou, Chip, or the enchantress who cursed the beast? And yep, it was the enchantress who cursed the beast originally.
Hmm.
She had a much bigger role. All right, I think we're just a few more here. In the 2017 live action Beauty and the Beast, what does the Beast let Belle use to look in on her past? There's another trick question here, just to warn you. Was it a magic book, a crystal ball, a pool of water, or a magic mirror? And yeah, it was a magic book, which I didn't expect.
Boy, do you miss any of these, Mark? I think you've gotten them all perfect.
Maybe all but one,
The
I
whole
think.
game or just this round?
Yeah.
No, I missed a few.
Oh, you okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've never got one right, and then you've gotten one wrong.
In the 2017 live action Beauty and the Beast, how do Belle and Maurice escape from being locked in the wagon?
I don't even remember them being locked in a wagon.
In a wagon?
Right.
Exactly.
Maurice picks the lock, the Beast sets them free, LeFou sets them free, or Chip sets them free. And yep, Maurice picked the locks. Yeah, they were in
Uh,
that
Nice.
wagon being ready to be
the
taken
asylum
to the
wagon.
asylum.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, it was a little different in this one.
Yeah, see, I got that one wrong.
In the 2017 live action Beauty and the Beast, how does Gaston wound the beast? With a strongly worded letter, a sword, an arrow, or a gunshot?
I am gravely disappointed in you, Beast.
Right, exactly. I just love the idea of him getting out a pen and writing something to him. Um, so Mark is the winner.
Oh, that no, great.
I didn't know he shot him.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. It didn't.
I was trying to find some time to watch some of these again and just did not happen.
I need to figure out how to mute this now. There we
Well,
go.
congrats, Mark. Good job.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. I guessed for a lot of them, and I got a couple of them wrong. So,
So, how did you guys feel about the quiz experience? Was it all you had hoped it would be, or
here's
Yeah,
what
it's
I
fine. I thought it was the questions were a mix of easy and hard, so like a
right?
good quiz show should be.
Yeah, I didn't want it to be like nothing but softballs and have you guys like totally neck and neck, but definitely something where there would be opportunities to legitimately reward people who are real familiar, with
Yeah.
the things. And I'm going to do ones in the future where it's like complete the lyric. And
Mhm.
that'll be similar because some of the lyrics can get, even in the real popular things, you can pull lyrics that are a little more arcane. And then like
Yeah.
quotes like who said what from wherever and stuff like that. So those will be,
Mhm.
um, same kind of thing there.
Cool.
But yeah,
In my
overall,
defense, I'm more of a Walt Disney era fan.
yeah, exactly.
Although I
Yeah.
have watched, I do watch everything though.
Yeah, yeah. I think Walt, there's like when you think about speaking of Walt, and like, there's a lot of times you'll hear about it's almost like, oh, would Walt approve or yeah, I think Beauty and the
Yeah.
Beast is definitely one of those things that he would have put a pretty significant seal of approval on. I think there's
Well, he
plenty of things you could point to where he maybe not, maybe that's not super Walt, but I think Beauty and the Beast is kind of up there.
well,
He
he
probably
did
wouldn't
try to make
approve of
Beauty and the Beast a
the
couple of times.
sequels
So,
or any of those three sequels.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
especially
I
the
don't
remakes. Yeah.
I've never really seen any of the direct to video, any of them except for one, Kronk's New Groove,
Oh really?
because
Okay.
I love Emperor's New Groove. It's probably
I
Yeah,
the
will say
only
I re
direct to video film I've ever seen.
okay.
I will say I really love Lion King 2 and Aladdin and the King of Thieves. Those are like two big ones for me that I enjoy.
Um, so let me ask you, Mr. Walt Disney, what do you think Walt would say about the modern state of things? Like
Well, yeah,
parks, media, everything. I mean, that's an hour-long conversation right there,
yeah.
but
Well, I'll have an easy answer every time I'm
sure.
asked that question is I don't speculate what Walt would think because
Right.
he was it's hard to try to understand or comprehend what a genius would think or say or do if he was placed in a different era than his own. So,
Sure.
but that said, I think he would be impressed by some of the technology, how Imagineering's really just kind of lived up to his ideals when he created the WED, Walt Disney Imagineering, WDI or WED or whatever it's called now.
Sure.
Uh, the blend of engineering, technical know-how, and creativity. So that is very prevalent in all the attractions they're building today. Um,
Just the idea of
I
pushing the envelope, yeah,
yeah,
being on the
exactly.
cutting edge. Yeah.
So I think without a doubt he'd appreciate that. Um, I get these comments all the time on my Instagram about how Walt would be rolling in his grave if he saw how much everything's a cash grab nowadays, or and lots
Right.
of other things that I try not to focus on all that because it really diminishes my enjoyment for things when I start thinking about what's wrong with
Uh-huh.
Disney, or what Walt what do I think Walt would be disappointed or mad at. I I don't even like to answer those questions. I just ignore them because anytime you start thinking about, you start looking for the bad in things, that's all you're gonna see.
Yeah.
So I really just choose to look for the good, and focus on that, and it just makes me happier. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Oh,
agree. A few years ago, I took a vacation and it was during the Chapek era. And I was just, since I was, when you talk about hearing that and trying to ignore it, it was so prevalent, like just hearing, because I listened to a
mhm.
lot of podcasts and it was constant with the Chapek is the devil. And so I went into
Yeah,
that vacation and I felt it. And then
yeah,
after he left, I had been subsequent to that, and it was my perspective was totally. I mean, I made the effort to appreciate things in a different way, but I totally understand what you mean about
yeah,
not listening it and just listening to it and just getting your own enjoyment out of those things. I heard
yeah,
somebody on a podcast the other day say use the phrase Walt wanted Disneyland to be for the common man, and I thought to myself, I'm like, I, it's almost like he's too far into the past and become mythologized to such an extent
yeah,
that people can kind of just put on him uh, whatever they want at this point. You know, like he's this kind of hero god status to a lot of people, and it's there's this weird almost danger in that because you start to lose it. And I think that that's why I like your YouTube channel because there is a different feeling between like post 1970 Disney and pre 1970 Disney. Like Walt was something special, and that's why, like I was saying before we started recording, every once in a while I'll go on Disney Plus and I'm just like, where do I get that feeling from? Like
right.
the holiday special he do or any of these things. And I can go to your YouTube now and I'm like, oh, there's the Walt. There it is right there, and it
I
just
wish there were more of Walt Disney would introduce his television show, every show from
yeah.
1954 to 1966.
That
And
was how people knew what he looked like.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so that's kind of what's missing from Disney Plus. There are a handful of those episodes on Disney Plus, but um, over on my YouTube channel, I've archived nearly all of his lead-ins there. And
And
so you
you
can
yeah, you
see what he had to say about a variety of topics, you
and
know.
there are a lot of really great documentaries full of people who talk about Walt, but I feel like there's a
Mhm.
lot of actual Walt that they could put out there,
Yeah.
it's just it's one
Yeah,
of
you
those
can talk
things.
all you want about Walt and praise him or put him down, but go listen to what he really had to say.
Yeah.
That said, I am looking forward to the Walt Disney Audio Animatronics show in Disneyland, and the
Yeah.
That
fact
that
that they're
sounds
going
nice.
to use what Walt actually said. They're going to probably take a lot of audio and video, possibly, from those episodes where he introduced programs and
Put them
put
together, yeah.
that together into a really great show.
Yeah,
So,
that's the speculation I guess that people have around that. Like,
mhm.
will they use actual quotes or will they uh use the spirit of what he might have said?
Yeah,
That's the
well, if they
where
do
people get a
that,
little
that'll
worried
be
about.
disappointing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Because they can't put words into Walt's mouth to, um, basically, uh, you know, be in accordance with the agenda or what the company's trying to do today. And
sure,
they do
yeah,
that a little bit, they like, well, I did have an issue with uh, the Walt statue in Epcot. Like
Is
I
that
felt,
the sitting on the bench one?
yeah, the sitting
Yeah.
there looking over Epcot and his dream, and that was a little bit of like using Walt Disney sort of as a mascot for what they thought Epcot was going to be, or what they created Epcot, not instead of what Walt wanted, what he intended Epcot to be. Now, that was, I don't think that was ever going to become a reality, but it was Walt's
Yeah.
dream. But they have him sitting there looking over something that was not his dream at all. It was basically what Marty Sklar and Card Walker and those folks that came over to Florida and built Epcot and did the best they could, with plenty of sponsors
Sure.
for Future World and World Showcase to make that a reality. Although it wasn't what Walt wanted, it was pretty darn close to what was possible at the time, I think. But
Yeah.
anyways, when I went to Epcot and I sat there, that feeling just went away. So
Yeah, all
anytime you
your
can put Walt,
skepticism. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. It just
anytime you can put Walt in the park and celebrate him. I mean, the thing that I liked about it was he was looking straight down the center of that walkway there towards the American Adventure, and I just thought of the quote of Walt Disney, how you know he gets chills down his spine, like a red, white, and blue chill down his spine whenever he thinks of America and
yeah.
patriotism. So that
Yeah.
kind of gave me the warm fuzzies.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Exactly. It's funny how so many things in theory, or when you hear about them on a podcast or you see somebody else's picture, it doesn't, you're like, I don't know if I get it. Yeah. And then you're there in person with the music
yeah,
and the smells and everything else. And you're, oh, okay, now I get it. And
right. You
it's,
really
You
yeah.
have
got to
to
go.
experience the
And
Disney parks.
yeah, a
Mhm.
lot of folks in social media today will bash the parks for being too expensive. The magic is gone, but when you go to the parks, you don't feel any of that negativity you see and read in
Exactly.
social media.
Yep.
It's you just got to go. You just go look for the good and have a good time.
It's my
Well,
happy place.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it kind of kills me that there are so many aspects of the things that cost money that are completely optional. Like you can be in that space and not have to do the premier lightning lane or do the sit down dining and do
Oh,
all
I
these
know.
other things. And
Yeah.
it's like those are optional. You can
Yeah.
still
You don't need to
climb
buy the,
the
what is
Swiss
it, three,
family
$400
treehouse, yeah,
pass to
and
have a
do
good
all those
time.
things. Yeah, exactly. That's I don't I'm glad they have it for the people who want to do it and can afford it. I'll never do it. I'll never be able to afford
Nope.
that, but it's totally optional to my experience. Like I can still go to Sleepy Hollow. I love that waffle, give me that waffle all day
Oh
long,
yeah.
but yeah, so
Is the Nutella waffle still there? I
I
thought I heard it went
I
away.
don't know. Like that's what I have not, I'm not real sure. I guess the chicken one is still there, but
Um,
and I guess that I don't know if they've changed the actual waffle, like just to the classic Mickey waffle, which I don't think was as
oh, I don't
good,
know.
but yeah. I don't
Are
know.
you more of a Disney World person? Are you out on that side of the country or?
Me, yeah, that's all. I've never been to the land. I'm
Oh,
only
okay.
this, yeah, so it's
I grew
I don't
up
get
in California, so that's kind of my home
okay.
park.
There you go. Oh,
I
I've been
went
yeah.
to both many times.
I went to Disneyland and DCA last year for the first time.
Did you really?
Oh,
Now,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
did you get that different feeling, Mark? Did you say, "Oh, this is where Walt walked," and it did it feel different? Like this was closer to his a
You
vision?
know, I wanted to feel that, but like I don't know, I just didn't. I just felt the same
Gotcha.
way I felt as Disney World. Not a bad way, just like I still enjoyed myself. I didn't actually feel like, oh, I'm walking in Walt's footsteps, even though like I kind of wanted to feel like that, but
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure what exactly prevented me from feeling that way.
Right, because that's the one thing that you always hear from people when they go to that park. They're like, "Oh, this is you can feel the Walt in this park," and I guess because of his apartment is there, and
Yeah.
when you see footage of him, it's like, well, that's where he was, and if you see footage of him in Florida, it's still the
Yeah,
swamp,
I think
The
the
more you
main
immerse
diff.
yourself in that content, either
Yeah,
his television programs or or
Yeah.
read some of his biographies and things, the more uh, chance that you'll have that spirit of Walt kind of feeling overcome you when you're walking down Main Street. And of
Right.
course, you can do a tour. And last just a couple of weeks ago, I was finally able to do the Walt's apartment tour.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, that was just something else to go up there. I went with a couple of friends and we just enjoyed that space. And
Wow.
you couldn't take pictures with your own camera. They took like there's a photo pass photographer that comes up and takes pictures of you, and they're included with the price of the tour, so you get some nice, good quality photos. But just to be in there where Walt would, relax with his wife and children and grandchildren, and like see where he slept, or you can even see where he shaved.
Holy moly. Yeah.
There's a little bathroom back there, and it was like we couldn't go in on the tile or anything, but there's a little there's a place where Walt would take care of his business and take a shower, and uh there's like a phonograph and his kitchen, and just it's kind of neat to just be in that space and see where Walt just did ordinary things. Like he's just an ordinary guy. He was a simple man of simple tastes and pleasures. Like he loved chili beans and Jello, V8.
Hot
You know,
dogs.
he
Yeah.
he he was he. It didn't take much in the way of food to please him. He had his favorites, and he'd arrive at the park in the morning, and he'd sleep over in the apartment in the morning. He'd walk down to the old. There was a place called the Sunkiss Citrus House, and he'd go in there, unlock the door, and go squeeze himself some orange juice and
Yeah.
walk around the park. So those kind of stories, if you read those and kind of get the spirit of those stories, and then you go to the park, and you really can feel like his presence there and his hand. And that's what I love about Disneyland, and what I really hope the company protects. So those, not just the attractions, but the places and the things that he helped to build. And I just hope those places are always a part of Disneyland.
Right. And
God
uh,
forbid, like Main Street gets bulldozed and they do something different or something like that.
I think there's very few, like maybe other than like Elvis and some politicians, there aren't that many Americans who have had so much of their lives kind of like frozen in amber like that by
Mhm.
preservationists and fans and a
Mhm.
company and everything else. And
Right.
so I think that's really great that Disney is still uh, like preserving that.
Yeah.
And hopefully, like we said earlier, hopefully they don't um, kind of abuse that for an agenda and put something else
Yeah.
onto
Exactly.
all that. That's the thing. It's like just keep that as what it is and just leave it there, and it's okay. That's fine what it is,
Hmm.
but it is in the past, and it's different than
Yeah.
today, and that's
Well, I agree. When Walt would say, we keep moving forward, we keep opening doors, and
Mhm.
that is a motto that current Disney loves to throw out there. But
Yeah,
almost in the same breath, Walt said he loves the nostalgia. I hope we always hold on to things of the past. And so
yeah. I
Disneyland is an
agree.
is a
Yeah,
nice balance of both. And so I get excited about new things, but I also get even more excited to hear when they like the treehouse refurb to
yeah.
to keep that a part of the park.
Yep. I
Do
totally agree.
improvements in the tiki room, improvements to the Matterhorn, things that Walt built.
And
Though that excites me almost more than all the new announcements and things that they had announced at the D23 Expo.
D23.
So,
yeah, it was funny because I'm a big Tom Sawyer's Island guy, right? Like I take my son there like every
mhm.
trip, and obviously in Disney World that's going away. And you hear a lot on
It's
podcasts
sad.
where people would be like, "Well, nobody was ever over there, and Walt always said everything's got to change and it's in progress and everything." And I thought to myself, I was like, "Well, these are the same people who had a real problem with like the great movie ride going away." It's this is like
Mhm.
as long as you keep your hands off of my nostalgia, you can get rid of
Yeah,
anything else, you know? And it's like one of those things where it's like, well, it's, you would never,
it's tough.
yeah,
Yeah,
you'd never consider getting rid of like the Carousel of Progress, but it's not overwhelmingly popular and it's really old. So there's that
I love
53. I love it. I hope they
yeah,
never get rid of that. That
yeah,
should,
same,
it's a must do.
if
I
they
have three
ever,
must do's over there:
same.
Carousel of Progress, Country Bear Jamboree, and Tom Sawyer Island.
right?
Those are like those are like Walt Disney things
Yeah.
over in the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
So
Well,
none of those is going away.
and I guess the Disneyland Tom Sawyer's Island, from what I understand, it's like the way that they utilize that in the show, with the
Oh, Fantasmic.
Maleficent dragon and everything else. That
Yeah.
that it's kind of more of a almost a stage area, and that it's a little different too. It's like Tom's Pirate Adventure, so they
Yeah, it's
incorporate a
called
lot of,
Pirate's Lair on Tom Sawyer
yeah, it's a
Island.
little different
Yeah.
than, yeah. So
But it's not, I don't think that that is in, I mean, nothing is safe, really, when you think
yeah,
about it. But the fact that Tom Sawyer Island is used as a staging area for Fantasmic, and the two big elements of that show are the Mark Twain and the Columbia sailing ship. And so you have to have the river there for them to go
yeah.
around and be part of that show. And the show is just, it's so popular. It's been there since 92. So going on what, 32 plus years now.
Mhm.
And I was just there a couple of weeks ago, and it was packed for both shows. There's a 9 o'clock and a 10:30
Wow,
Mm.
show, and the park's
wow.
up until midnight. And, um,
Yeah, all that
yeah,
stuff in the Disney World, Tom Sawyer's Island. I would love to see them take that. There's an island near the campground. You know how they have that campground, kind of
oh
to
yeah,
the
Discovery Island
south.
or something.
Well, it's a there's a different one even than that. It's and I don't think they're doing anything with it right now. But if they either put it there or just took those elements, the Fort Langhorne, the whatever,
That would be
and
so
took
cool.
them
That's a great
somewhere to
idea.
that campground and just put them
Yeah.
there, because at least it's not just being completely mothballed, because I
And that's something you could do like on a non-park day, right? You could they
yeah,
would have a little boat that goes from Fort Wilderness or Wilderness Lodge over to there. Yeah.
well, and they've just redone those cabins, right? The DVC cabins
That's a
there.
great idea.
They have
Well,
they have, like the
yeah.
camping, that it would just fit so well. And like you said, it would give people
hmm
an opportunity to, oh, here's a non-park day, and it helps sell those DVC units and everything else. I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's
Keep
it
a
would be
little
expensive.
Frontierland.
But
Yeah.
I think this, like what you had said about the Spirit of Walt being about, um, he loved that stuff, like the Mark Twain and Huck Finn and all that was like,
Mhm.
that was a huge
Yeah.
inspiration for him. So
He grew up only a few miles from Mark Twain's
yeah,
hometown in
yep,
Hannibal, Missouri. He spent his childhood in Marceline, I think less than 100 miles away.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, it's all,
yeah.
and his first vacation to get away from the studios before the South America stuff.
Mhm.
He wanted to go to Mississippi and get on a riverboat.
A riverboat, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like one of the things he wanted to do. I mean, they had to pivot, they weren't able to do that, but it was this kind of an interesting to hear about that. Like, oh yeah, he was really into the whole Mark Twain riverboat, that whole thing. So, and it just
Then
is
he
a
had the
shame
nervous
to,
breakdown and got sent to
yeah.
South America, which was a good thing.
Well, the strike, I guess the strike is what did that. Watching
Yeah,
that.
that was part of it. Yeah, it was kind of a messy part in the history of the company, but
Yeah. But and that's the thing, they survived it, which is a real
Mhm.
testament to
Sure.
Roy and everything else. So yeah. Um, so yeah, and I did have another question, Brian. The Haley Mills thing. Is that is that Parent Trap? Where did that? Is that just was that a childhood nostalgia thing, or was it something that you grew to appreciate after just
Oh,
Disney Plus, and
Haley Mills is she's just so darling and sweet.
it's just okay.
Every summer on my Instagram, I do what's called the Summer of Haley.
Okay.
and I kind of go crazy with the posts. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll be looking forward to
And
that. Yeah.
yeah, and so my dad liked Haley Mills, and he showed us those movies when I was a kid.
Yeah, she's
And
got like a
I
real charm, and her and like Annette
yeah,
Funicello, and
right.
yeah, there's a few other
There is an innocent charm to those
yep,
Disney actors of the 50s and 60s, like
yep,
you said, Annette, uh,
yeah.
Haley Mills, and
And I forget,
any of the Mouseketeer actors like Darlene Gillespie, and those are just I see them, and it's like they're in so many different films, and it's fun to see them across different pictures. But you turn those on, and it's like you're watching your family.
just
And,
about,
and and
right?
Disney had a family of actors throughout the 50s and 60s, and
Yeah,
even a little bit into the 70s. So
I forget what his name is now, but the kid that was in Old Yeller and
Tommy
Swiss Family,
Curran,
yeah, Swiss Family Robinson, like that whole group was just like there was two or three that
yeah,
were across all those,
Kevin
and it was
Corcoran and Tommy
it's
yep,
just
Curran.
the
Yeah.
warmest
yep,
feeling you
yeah,
get when you watch these movies, and it's just something. It's kind of
You
like
feel
that
like you know
feeling
them.
when you go to a Disney park. When you first walk down Main Street and you see the castle. I get that same feeling when I watch these movies because it's a familiar nostalgia. There's a magic. There's like a calming presence that just kind of overcomes you. And Haley Mills is like the one actress that kind of gives me that feeling. Like her films, Pollyanna, just my favorite movie because it's one of those movies that's all about being optimistic and looking for the good and the
yeah,
positive and everything around you. Um, I mean, Mark, you say some stuff like you watch these movies like I do, and
right.
you became drawn to them. So uh, they're just wonderful, and like Walt had these. Yeah, I feel bad like there was other folks that were in Hollywood or in the area that didn't get to break into Disney because Walt was
Mm.
was sticking with his guys,
Oh
so
yeah,
much.
yeah,
But you know,
Well, I
like
think all the studios pretty much
yeah,
had their everything was a studio system. So I think
mhm.
people
that's
just kind of
that's the way
stick with
Hollywood
stuck with their guy.
operated back then. You
Yeah.
had character actors, and
they're under
Hmm.
signed a
contract.
contract with the
Yeah,
studio,
Yeah.
and
so Mark,
I
in
see
oh,
pros and cons, not just cons, but I see like I can see both pros and cons to that way of
sure.
doing
Hmm.
it.
so in the course of your live action Disney project, have there been any of those movies then that have kind of crossed over into that for you, where it's been these are the things now that I'm going to watch every summer or every Christmas or whenever? Has there been anything that's really surprised you? Well, like, wow, I've heard of that, but seeing it, it's like, I get it now.
There have been a number of films that were a pleasant surprise, or what I call like they call hidden treasures, like films that aren't very well known, but I think like they're pretty good and should be more well known. Like one, for example, The Three Lives of Thomasina, with
Oh,
I forget
wonderful
their names.
movie.
The
Karen
kids,
Dotrice,
correct.
Matthew
Thanks.
Garber.
Thanks. Yeah, from
Yeah.
the kids from Mary Poppins, they're in that one. But Karen Docha, her performance in that is like mind mind
Yeah.
boggling. Like
It's
it's just so
amazing.
good, amazing. Like
Yeah.
you think Mary
Mhm.
Poppins, she was good. No, that movie is what you gotta watch, and she's good in that. Sometimes some parts of it seems like a horror movie, like the
I
way she
know
says
because
certain things.
it's like her dad was a veterinarian and
Mm,
wouldn't heal her cat
yeah,
who was injured in the beginning. And like the cat died, spoiler alert, but
spoiler
and
alert.
she felt it was his fault. And she kept going around saying, like, I have no father. You're dead to me, or something.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just like,
it's
what is
really
going
eerie and
on with this
creepy.
movie?
Wow.
You could cut that and like put like horror music behind it, and
Exactly.
it would fit perfectly.
Holy cow. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
Yes.
Patrick McGoon was the dad, and he
Hmm.
was in a really popular miniseries called The Scarecrow of Romney Marsh, which is on my YouTube channel. Which is not this show's not on Disney Plus, which infuriates me, but it's really good. And folks knew Patrick McGoon at that time. Like he did a really great miniseries called The Prisoner in the late '60s.
Well, I've always
Uh,
wanted to watch that.
yeah, and so when he showed up on the screen in this Disney special, man, it was unfortunate because the first night that series aired was the night that the Beatles were on the Ed Sullivan show. So
Oh,
almost all of America missed the first episode.
wow.
And then
Talk about bad timing.
yeah, it's funny. So what Walt did was he kind of sort of retold the first episode in the second. Like they had to do something quick.
Like,
Like,
by the way, this is what
yeah,
happened.
yeah, here's what you
Oh,
missed while you're watching the Beatles.
refamiliarize, yeah.
Yeah.
Beatles, Beatles.
Reintroduce. Okay.
Mhm.
And a fun fact about Patrick McGowan, his last film role was also a Disney film. He did a voice role in Treasure Planet. He
Oh
voiced Billy
yeah,
Bones,
that's
so
right.
that was the last thing he
Really?
did. His last film. Yes, that was his last film
Wow.
role.
Yeah,
That's
my
cool.
son, that's one that my son really, of all the Jim Hawkins, that's his favorite, I think, is
Oh,
the Treasure
nice.
I
Planet
love
one.
that's my
Yep.
second favorite Disney canon film, The Treasure
It's a
Planet.
good movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, it should be more celebrated.
Yep. There's
Yes.
a
But
few
it is on
from
Disney
that era
Plus,
that are a
so
little
that's good.
underrated. That and Hunchback of Notre Dame, I think, never gets enough credit of,
Oh,
kind of,
I
Yeah.
love Hunchback. Yeah.
that's really just an absolutely, I mean, that may be, it's hard to say top 10 animated, but it's,
No, it
you
is up
know,
there.
yeah, I
The
mean, if
animation itself is just gorgeous.
it's
Like
gorgeous,
you
the
just get
story is
lost in the
amazing.
story. Yeah.
Yep, the music and that one part, the out there when Tom Hulse is belting that out. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
there's a reason that they use that in that fireworks show, Happily Ever After. That's kind of the inspiration
Oh
for
yeah.
the name of my show here, Happily Ever Answer. I thought to myself, what is it that I love most when I go to Disney World? And I'm like, well, it's that show. And so that's where I got, but it's because
Oh
of that
wow.
moment, that happily ever after when he's
Mhm.
like out there and that timpani is rolling and it's just is like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this is incredible.
Yeah, that'll
Um,
set the tears
Oh yeah,
going.
yeah, it gives me goosebumps. Absolutely.
Yeah, that one pulls
Yeah.
at the heartstrings.
I
Yep.
love the Jungle Book's in it still. That's my favorite
Yep.
animated film.
Yeah, there's a few things in there that and it's funny because you'll go to the parks and you'll hear these pieces of music and then you'll go back and watch something classic and you'll be like, oh my God, that's right. That's where they got that from, and it's
Mhm.
there's been a few things where it's the parks have inspired me to go back and watch something and I'm like, oh, now I get why this thing made it into the parks because that's when I started to fall in love with Hunchback of Notre Dame was through that fireworks shows because of that moment in that fireworks show. It was so powerful. And I was like, well, I've got to go back and watch this Hunchback of Notre Dame. And
That's
I did.
awesome.
And I was like, yeah, it was a reverse kind because it was that, I was like in my 20s when I think when that came out. And so you're kind of like, I wasn't super into Disney back then, and I was just like, whatever, So yeah, I didn't even really, I think, see it until just even a few years ago for the first time, and yeah, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love that Disney kind of puts those montages together
yeah.
and I wish they would put a little bit more of the older stuff in there so to
Yeah.
reintroduce the younger generation.
Well, and it
Hmm.
it
Uh
holds up, I mean,
yeah, it does hold
it
up.
it really does. Like I'm not crazy about the new Epcot show, the Illuminations, I guess, or
Oh,
Illuminus or whatever, the Harmonia, whatever it
yeah,
is.
harmonious. Yeah,
Yeah, the
I
new
can't remember the name, so that shows you how much it
well,
had an impression on.
they have like versions of songs from things, and I just think to myself, I was like, well, the original is what everybody fell in love with.
Yeah.
Why are you
Yeah.
doing a version of it,
I kind of
Uh,
like the Epcot Forever show. Did you see that one?
I think so. That wasn't as, yeah, I like that one all right. And I can always tell how good a show is if I look over at my wife and if she's not crying, then I know it's not a great show. It didn't get her. And that show didn't get her. I mean, it was late. It was a full day for us at Epcot, but she was like, yeah, I liked it all right. But I was like, yeah, but it didn't get you. Not the way Happily Ever After does. Like,
The cryometer wasn't
yep, the
working or whatever.
cryometer, that, and even the Festival of Fantasy Parade at Magic Kingdom, that does it to her. And I'm just like, oh, that's another one that.
I bet you're excited for the new night parade that's coming. That'll be
We'll
really
see.
fun.
Yeah, see how
Yeah.
they pull those off. It's hard to really nail those spectaculars. Like to me, it's
Mm.
they've gone through so many in the last 10 years now, like looking for that formula that and people either love them or they hate them,
Well, if you do make a trip to Disneyland, maybe go after the Paint the
yeah,
Night parade comes back because that
yep.
was an outstanding parade.
I hear about that. Yeah, exactly.
And so
There's,
that's to me, I mean the Main Street Electrical Parade is pretty nostalgic for a lot of Disney fans, but I actually like Paint the Night better.
yeah, yeah, that's what a lot of people I've heard on, the
Yeah.
podcast are like really looking forward to that. All right, well, I'm gonna let you guys get. It's We went a lot later than I thought we would, but it's been great. I've had so much fun talking you, and I think you guys, honestly, in terms of your knowledge and passion, I think you guys have set the bar really high. Like this is the first
We
episode of this.
apologize.
Yeah, this is the first episode I've done of this with people who I'm not related to. So
Oh,
Nice.
well,
it's yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. And like I said, I'm gonna leave all of you guys like Instagrams and YouTubes and all that wherever I
thank you.
distribute this. It'll be YouTube, TikTok, and yeah, I guess those are really and a podcast. I'll release it as a podcast as well.
For
So
mine, could you just put my blog URLs, not the Instagram?
sure, yeah,
That'd be
absolutely.
great. Hmm.
Yeah, you betcha.
Cool. Well, thanks for promoting that. I appreciate it, Carl.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
Both
and
Mark and I spend a lot of time doing what we love, and it's always nice to hear from new folks.
Yeah, when Carl messaged me about this show, I knew I had to get you involved, Brian.
yeah, and you
We got to
also
get Jared. I'd like to get
Oh
my
yeah,
friend
yeah.
every Disney
Mhm.
flick on here too,
well, yeah,
because
any
Or even Celebration Disney
yeah,
Jim, he'd be great too.
any leads you guys float my way, I will definitely. And the thing is, it's like because there's a fair amount of like pre-production and post-production. I don't know. This won't be like a lot of podcasts are just like, hey, we're getting together and we're talking for 45 minutes and we'll release it. This takes a little more. So I don't know how
Yeah, yeah.
often
No
I will
worries.
be able to like crank these out, which is fine because I want to get like a fairly robust menu of topics for people to choose from. And I don't want people to feel like they have to bring a plus one, like a friend or a spouse or whatever. I'd love to be able to eventually have like two strangers and stuff like that, squaring off against each other.
oh,
But
that'd be
there,
cool. Yeah.
but there's definitely so many people out there that are so passionate about this thing that's like part religion and part therapy. I don't know what it is about Disney, but it's like it is like I think when people first get that bug, they want to just kind of like tell everybody in their life like they found Jesus, and they're like, "Let me tell you about Walt,"
I
and
found
it's
Walt.
yeah, exactly. It's the same kind of thing, and you
Yeah.
want to just so it's you've got to find your people, and they're thank God for Instagram, because that's pretty
It
great.
brings us all together, yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Carla, I don't know how good you feel about animation in general, but if it's something you're interested in, I'd love to have you on my game show in the future if I ever do
That
another
now
series.
that yeah, that isn't intimidating because I watched a little bit of that and I'm like, oh my God, that seems very like you just have to embrace that you're gonna lose and just have fun with it because getting all the
Yeah.
way through that is like such a gauntlet in terms of
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, and it's just like the show Who Wants to Be a
Yeah.
Millionaire in that
yeah,
There's a lot of
yeah.
non-Disney stuff that'll just trip you up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And the good thing is that if you have kind of an instinct for how things have been done, it gives you a like a puncher's chance. You can still kind of luck your way into getting down the road a little bit. But yeah, that does. Yeah, I'll definitely.
I have,
Now, do you have topics lined up for that, or is it?
I have the way I do it is I have it divided into a few categories, so it's about I don't know, maybe 15 categories, and then I randomly kind of I also have like a bunch of like questions that I've made over the years that I haven't used yet, and then I try to kind of kind of combine it into what I think is the most fun type of game and figuring out,
Right.
oh, what type of question is this, a 2,000 point question or just like a million-point question?
Right.
And I try to
Yeah.
balance with all the categories, so it's not like, oh, it's not a heavily Disney game, or a heavily, DreamWorks game, or a heavily you know Illumination Entertainment game or something. So I try my best to balance it out as I
Right.
can.
Okay. That's yeah. That, like I said, I think I just have to wrap my brain around. I'm a lose, but have fun. That's the whole thing. So
Yeah,
yeah.
He needs to
no,
do
no, no, yeah.
a Disney millionaire show. Then I'll
Yeah.
come
Oh,
back on.
oh, if I
He hasn't
definitely,
invited me the last couple seasons.
yeah, no, don't worry. You're coming back sometime. Don't worry. But I also
Well,
like to have different people on every
Oh
season
yeah,
too. So
you
so like I like to. So there's every season. I'm happy to say I've had at least one new person. So I'm happy about that.
and you use PowerPoint, right?
I use PowerPoint for that. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes it much more stable.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not a third party
Yeah, I
server.
was just like, man, this is gonna. I know one day I'm gonna get people like 18 out of 20 questions in, and then somebody's gonna be like, yeah, my gizmo just wigged out on me, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna break my heart when that happens to somebody. But yeah, and the fun thing about this is that it all just inspires the passionate conversation at the end of the day. And that's where, to
Mhm.
me, the real fun is. It's not even so much, the winning or losing or the knowing or the not knowing, so much it is as it is the discussion. And that's
Yeah,
what
like
I like.
in my
Yeah.
game show, after every question, I
Hmm.
discuss the answer or the topic
Yeah.
with the contestant. That's usually kind of like the fun part.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And there's no worry about any kind of weird technical issues. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
As
pretty
long as
cool.
Zoom's working, we're good.
Yep.
Cameras are on and our mics on. That's all we need.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, anyway, to the general audience, whoever's listening or watching this, yeah, like I said, I'm going to include everybody's links to all their stuff, and I'll use your blog links, and
Thanks.
Brian, I'll use your Instagram and your YouTube, and yeah,
thanks.
absolutely. And I'm going to keep posting topics. And yeah, if you guys want to come back on again eventually one day, that would be awesome. I think you guys are super passionate, super fun to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm definitely down for it.
Yeah.
I'd love to do
Anytime
a
you'd like to have me back, I'm happy
Oh, that's
to
awesome.
join in.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
I'll if that's cool, I'm gonna add you guys to my mailing list. I
there
got
you
like a little MailChimp thing, so I'll I just feel like that's an easier way to because it is easy to lose people on Instagram. There's so many people out there on
Mhm.
Instagram, so I
Yeah.
want to make sure I stay in contact with you guys.
go. Sounds good.
Awesome. Anyway, to the audience, thank you guys for listening, and I will catch you guys next time.
All right. Take
And
care, everybody.
Bye.
bye. Thanks for checking out this episode of Happily Ever Answer. Your positive ratings and reviews are greatly appreciated. To reach out about being on the show, visit happilyeveranswer.com. Until next time. This production is an independent work and is not authorized, sponsored by, or in any way officially connected with the Walt Disney Company, its affiliates, or subsidiaries. All characters, trademarks, and intellectual properties referenced herein remain the property of their respective owners.